Hey guys, it's Maria, and today I'm going to be going over a quick guide on how to choose a major when you're applying to college. So, first off, if you don't know what a major is, which is totally alright, it's basically a specialization in a specific subject area. So, thinking back to your high school experience of classes that you've liked, maybe in like arts, history, English, science, or math. And so you specialize in one of the specific areas or maybe multiple depending on if you double major, and that's basically your concentration where you learn skills that will hopefully lead to a career path that you're looking towards based on that major, or like any career aspirations or things like that. So that's a major, and then a double major which is a term that you hear frequently around college campuses, is basically pursuing like two programs of study, which can sound like a lot, but depending on the size of the major might actually be like very doable in 4 years. So a lot of people double major because I think most people are like really like complex, multifaceted people and have multiple interests, and so double majoring makes a lot of sense for people who like two things equally and kind of want to combine those two fields of study to, like explore some kind of like new idea or concept, and, just like really love two different areas and like love to combine their interests to like create new skills with that. And then finally, the minor is a smaller version of a major. So let's say you're interested in an area, but maybe not as much, or maybe you don't have enough room in your class schedule, then a minor is a great way to explore really small like specialization in a field without too much commitment, or not going too much into depth, but giving you kind of like a brief like cursory overview of a field they may be interested in. So here on this website, I just have the list of majors with like guidance and advice on how to choose a major from the USC website, because that's the school I go to, but every school that you apply to should have some sort of list like this. So now we've established what a major is, double major, minor, and let's now go over the types of majors that you typically see on a college campus. So first is arts and humanities. So these are the majors like fine arts, music performance, history, English, like classics, philosophy, like language learning, maybe like American studies, like African studies, East Asian languages and cultures, like really like the subjects associated in high school with like art and history and English. So these majors are really great if you're a creative person and really love like reading, writing, like performing, creating like some kind of work of art, and you really like expressing yourself through that. And so one common misconception in arts and humanities is that these majors are like quote unquote like useless, unless you're like really talented, or that this is like a dying section of majors. But that couldn't be farther from the truth. Although a lot of people see humanities as not having like a very like applicable like direct link to a career. Like for example, I'm like an English major, I'm a narrative studies major, and there's no like direct route that people would see with an English major except maybe becoming like a teacher. But the critical reading and writing skills that you learning how to present your ideas clearly and express yourself, and practice public speaking, learning how to professionally communicate with other people, like all those, and like analytical skills, all those skills are really valuable in a workplace regardless of what career you go into. So although these types of majors are typically reserved for like a lot of like creative types, it can also just be for people who really love like reading or writing, communicating, like doing some kind of like art-based concentration that, while some people might see as useless, is actually like really like fascinating and can be really useful depending on like your passion and like how you're able to use the skills that you learn. So that's a long-winded explanation for arts and humanities. And the next section is social sciences. So social sciences is kind of like a cross-section between arts and humanities and natural sciences. I don't think social sciences are covered as much in high school, unless you took classes like, I took like AP economics. I took AP micro and macroeconomics, for example, or maybe you took some kind of like business class, like marketing, personal finance, accounting, stuff like that. So social science majors are typically including like business administration, marketing, finance. There's also communication, political science, international relations, journalism, public relations. What else? Like basically kind of like majors are a cross section between humanities and natural sciences. So social sciences still have a lot of reading and writing, but it tends to be less based on like creating things and more on researching like existing works, if that makes sense. So an international relations major, for example, would like, study different types of cultures internationally, and like learn about politics and politics, policy, like all these different types of things. And like there's a lot of reading and writing components to that, but there's always like a lot of research and looking at data, like analyzing things, using statistics to like find data and like use those to prove your claims and things like that. So it's like scientific in its research approach, but it's more humanities based in like the content that you're learning, if that makes sense. And so this is a good area for social sciences is kind of an interdisciplinary area. The word interdisciplinary is thrown around a lot, I think, in like college tours and on college campuses. And interdisciplinary basically means that a major or field of study or multiple fields of study cross multiple disciplines. So basically they cover a lot of territory and subjects different than their own. So for example, my major personally, I'm a narrative studies major, covers a lot of areas in like traditional English and comparative literature, but there's also areas of study in that we take classes in American studies and film and theater, music, and like all these other different creative components. So interdisciplinary majors are great for people who have multiple interests and like don't really want to compromise any of those to focus on a specific single area. So and this is not an ad for USC, this is just what I know of, but I know USC has a lot of great interdisciplinary majors like business of cinematic arts, computer science and business administration, what else, media practice and technology, media arts and practice, which focuses on like gaming and virtual reality, but also film. So, like all these different types of majors that tend to have like really cool names, kind of like my major, that really focus on a lot of different types of areas, which can be hard to explain to people because it could sound like kind of complex. So it's not rooted in one specific area, but also means that the things that you study are also really diverse and broad. So social science majors tend to be good for people who like a lot of different types of things, and like majors like political science or public policy or government can be really complex and require you to know about a bunch of different topics. So it's really diverse and really broad, which can be really interesting. Again, long-winded answer to what is social sciences. Alright, and the next is natural sciences. So natural sciences are kind of the traditional sciences that you take in high school, like biology, chemistry, and physics. So if you like any of those areas, or maybe if you took anatomy and physiology or environmental science, for example, those are all housed in this section. So yeah, if you're a science person, if you really like experiments and research, reading about how things work in nature, it's a really great field. So a lot of natural science students tend to also be on the pre-medicine track. So they are interested in becoming doctors or doctors, nurses, or other working in some other capacity in the healthcare field. But that's not necessarily all that natural sciences is limited to. You can also become a scientist and become a researcher and work on finding like cures for diseases, or like doing all these amazing things with the research. So there's a lot of different options there's a lot of different options in natural sciences, and it's a great way to, do research and like really like learn about how things work. So hopefully you've taken enough science classes by now, whether you can get a feel of whether you may like this field, whether you may be interested in the pre-medicine track or anything like that. So when I mentioned tracks, at least for this is how it works at USC. Again, not a USC ad, just what my experience has been in college so far. But at least in my school, there are no like pre-medicine or like pre-law majors. You major in something else, but you also take classes that tend to be requirements for like graduate school applicants. So being on a track means that you have a major, but you are also taking other additional classes on the side to fulfill that track and meet the requirements and the expectations to eventually like apply to like competitive graduate schools and succeed. So people who are interested, who already know that they want to go to grad school as to become like future doctors, nurses, lawyers, all those things like that. And lastly is engineering, computer, quantitative, and technical sciences. Again, not every school will like break down their majors into like these specific categories, but these are just kind of like the general definitions for like majors overall. So engineering, computer, quantitative, and technical sciences are focused on what you would traditionally think of as kind of like STEM majors, like science, technology, engineering, and math. So computer science, different types of engineering from mechanical to aerospace, biomedical engineering, what else? Chemical engineering, civil engineering, environmental engineering, like listing a million types of engineerings, and also like quantitative and technical sciences. So you could be like a data science, applied analytics, all these really like complex quantitative majors that are really cool. So this is kind of like a little more difficult. I would say if you really enjoyed your high school math classes, if you took maybe like calculus or statistics or anything like that, this might be a good fit for you. Again, this is kind of one of those like subjects like social sciences where you don't really get a lot of exposure, honestly, in like middle school and high school. Maybe if you were involved in your school's robotics team, or a lot of my friends said they started playing with Legos when they were really young, moved up to robotics, liked building things, programming in their spare time, all that stuff. So yeah, engineering and other like quantitative sciences are really about building things, whether it be like physical like buildings for like civil engineering or programming with computer science. So yeah, there's like a lot of like logic, math. You probably have to really love math to do engineering, and all that stuff. So, all right, those are some broad categories for majors. And now let's get into the choosing the major part of the video. So let me break down some like a few like generalizations, or I think like stereotypes or assumptions that people have about a major, and hopefully try to like disband them and leave you with like my like personal honest opinion of how I think choosing a major should go. How you should go about choosing a major. So first off, I know that a lot of majors are like cast into the like useless major section of, oh, you'll just end up like a Starbucks barista. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that, you know, you'll be unemployed, or like this major doesn't teach you anything, it doesn't do anything, you're just wasting your money if you decide to learn this field of study. And like I mentioned earlier when I was defending arts and humanities majors, really any major you choose, as long as you're passionate about what you're learning, can be useful. I think there's a lot of people that go into like applying to colleges choosing majors that they don't really want to do. For example, I was a business administration major when I was applying to USC, and I honestly didn't really know what that was. I was pretty undecided in my career path, and choosing undecided as a major probably would have been a better fit for me. But I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And as soon as I took my first business class, I realized that it just really wasn't for me, which is totally fine. But I like felt trapped in this major because a lot of my other friends are business majors, and it felt like, you know, the societal pressure of trying to choose a major that is like quote unquote prestigious and, you know, is like sounds hard and will like lead to like great career options, when in reality it just wasn't a field that I was interested in pursuing. And I saw my grades and my motivation in business classes suffer as a result, because it was a field that I just genuinely was interested in learning about. So don't choose a major because people say that you should choose a major, like whether it be your friends or your family. At least like try to the fullest extent that you can to really choose a field of study that genuinely interests you. The passion that you display for those projects will serve you a lot more than choosing a major that sounds prestigious, even if it's an area that you're not excited about, and like suffering academically maybe, or just feeling kind of burnt out and not really interested in what you're learning as a result. So that's that. Choose a major that you really want to be in, hopefully regardless of other people. But going in undecided is also a great option as well. I have a lot of other friends who went into their schools undecided, and it turned out well for them because they were able to explore, take a couple classes, even if it made them a little slower to finish their major requirements. At least they got to experiment and not feel trapped into one particular school or major before they were able to really decide what their passions were and go with that. And also, going off of that, I was gonna say something. Anyway, choose a major for you. Don't worry about what anyone else is thinking. Just you do you with your major. Going in undecided is also a great option. And I remember what I was gonna say. There is also a lot of flexibility in majors. So a lot of people act like choosing a major when you're like a high school senior is like the end all be all of, oh my god, this is like, the career path I'm going to be on for the rest of my life. That could be hard. That couldn't be any farther from the truth. There are so many times in your college career to choose, just switch your major if you feel inclined to do so. Like me, I basically switched my major at least like 3 times before the end of my freshman year, which is totally fine because being indecisive is perfectly normal, and don't feel pressured to stay and do something in a major that you're just not passionate about. But, if you have a particularly tough class in a major, also, don't switch a major. Don't switch your major, every time, a hard class comes up. But if you look at the major requirements, all your school should have, a course catalog for you to be able to look at. If you look at all the courses in a major and you're just not excited by any of them, that's a good sign that you're not in the right major. And also, again, a good sign for when you're applying of, click on a major that you think you might be interested in, look at all the courses required, and if they sound interesting, great, that might be a good major for you. But if, a lot of those courses don't sound interesting or sound really, difficult and you don't want to take those classes, then you may not want to pursue that major. And switching majors is very perfectly normal. A lot of my friends have switched their majors multiple times. Your career path is not defined directly by your major. So take your time, explore your interests, figure out what you really want to do, and you'll save time by, exploring in the beginning of your college career, and then in the end, when you might have some regrets about the major path you've chosen because you were too afraid to change. Sorry if that sounds depressing or kind of harsh. But yeah, no, seriously, college is the time where you can have freedom to really genuinely think about what you really are passionate about and what you want to do with that. So the next topic that I was going to go over is choosing an obscure major doesn't necessarily make you an easier person to admit in the college application cycle. So I know a lot of my friends joked about applying as art history or gender and sexuality studies majors to elite or competitive colleges because they thought that would be easier to get in. But oftentimes that plan kind of backfires. Firstly, because your extracurriculars, your academic resume, the classes that you've taken, your letters of recommendation will all generally lean towards, let's say you're really interested in STEM, but you apply as an art history major. All of the extracurriculars and academics and everything will point towards your desire for STEM, for example, right? Let's say you're in robotics or math club, and then applying for an art history major is strange given your resume. But also because it's also really difficult sometimes to change your major in your first year in college. Luckily for me, I was able to switch around a lot. But in other schools, they may have caps on like time caps on like how early you're allowed to switch a major, or they may have prerequisites for the college within the school that you're in, where you have to take like extra general education classes or something. And in general, it's not worth the hassle to like choose a major that you think is easier or more obscure to get into a school, and then realize that you have a lot of barriers once you may possibly get accepted to that school and have to transfer out, and also your academic and personal achievements wouldn't reflect that major in your application anyway, so it would be a disconnect. And when you're applying to college, the college counselors are really looking for like continuity and consistency in your application that show that you're really, like dedicated towards like a certain path. And okay, so that's that. Yeah, that's pretty much all the advice I have. Pretty much just to sum up, the first one being, seriously, genuinely, as much as I can say, choose a major that you genuinely want to be in. I can promise that your life will be so much easier choosing a career path and choosing a major that you are genuinely passionate about, even if the career path that you want to go on later may not necessarily have like a high salary or high prestige. Like, genuinely doing what you love to the fullest extent that you can is, I think, the best way to enjoy your college experience, post-college experience. And I've seen a lot of my friends are in majors that they're like at best indifferent to, and their experience is drastically different from mine, as someone who, took the like risky route and decided to do a major that maybe doesn't necessarily seem that prestigious, but one that I really love and I'm really passionate about, and I'm really excited to go to class every single day because I love talking about the subject. So as much as I can emphasize, please choose a major that you just love, because it will make learning so much more interesting. College is the first time in your life where you can have a schedule where it's all classes that you enjoy. Like, I haven't taken a math class since my first semester in college, and it's been great because I love reading and writing essays and talking about books and stuff. So as much as you can, you do you. Choose the major that you love and you want for your own reasons. And then the next is also, don't choose a major for prestige when you're applying, because generally it doesn't work. Going back to that first advice of you do you, especially in the application cycle when you're choosing a major, it's to choose a major, maybe look at high school classes that you've taken that you've loved. Go on any college website that should have a list of majors, look at the course requirements, and figure out if those sound interesting to you, because a major is made up of its courses, as kind of like simple as that sounds. And if you don't like at least most of, if not all of the courses you're taking, then it indicates that you probably wouldn't be that happy being in that major. So yeah, I hope that helps. Hope that wasn't too long-winded. And yeah, good luck with choosing your majors, guys. I'm excited to see how your college and major searches end up. Thanks for watching.